Are you not sure what to do in order to get your ads to skyrocket with conversions? In today's video, you're going to actually get my 4-part framework that I use every single time to create high converting ads time and time again, regardless of budget. Now, for the best Facebook ad and conversion strategy this side of YouTube, make sure to go and subscribe to this channel and punch the notification bell so you can know when the next video comes out every Friday. Now, if it's your first time here, hello, I'm Danielle. I'm an ads and conversion strategist helping online entrepreneurs be able to amplify their audience, increase their income, and really build their online legacy and empire. So I want to say that with this 4-step framework we're going to go into, my client was able to use just one of these tips inside its 4-part framework and had a 22% increase in their signups. And that's what I want for you too. So without further ado, let's get into it. But you're probably wondering what even is this 4-part framework. So I call it the GOAT framework, literally. And it stands for graphic, offer, audience, or text. So let's go first one by one into graphic. This is one of the best ones to start with because you're able to see such an easy increase or decrease based on your graphic. And here's why. It's because when people are going to scroll on the feed on your ad, that's going to be the first thing that they see. Graphic or video, depending on which type of ad you're doing. For you, if you're just starting, I recommend doing graphics. It's a lot easier. But I want to say that if you're wondering what's an easy way to step up your conversions, it's making sure that you have a really resonating graphic. And what I see so much of the time happen, even when I first started, is I didn't put as much time into the graphic piece, and especially the targeting piece. Those two were so important that they can literally make or break your ad cost. They can make and break your ad spend, because one graphic I've seen happen where it was an okay graphic, it did the job that it could be, but it really didn't convert as well. So it went from having maybe like 1 to 2 people convert per day. When we changed the wording on there and how it looked on the actual feed, oh my gosh, we were able to like triple the amount of signups per day because of it. So when I talk about graphic, again, it's really going to depend on your industry, what you see, and so forth. And I highly recommend, if you're someone who's never done ads before and you're wondering what even are good graphics in your audience to look for, there is a tool called Facebook Ad Library. It's free. It's actually from Facebook. You can actually spy on your industry competitors by typing in their page name into that. I'll actually put down the link in the description below. It's completely free. And you can actually see the graphics they're using. So I recommend you to look at 3 to 5 industry leaders inside of your niche. Look at the graphics and see what are some things that are really resonating to your eye that you think would be better for your audience as well. I always believe it's good to know who's out there, but never try and imitate them in that way. But if you know, like, let's say 2 out of those 3 leaders all had some type of like bright graphic or bright color along with a small text and the picture of themselves, it might be good for you to test those variations. So start with that first, because that's the easiest way to see what your conversion will go up or down, because it's the first thing that your users see, and it's a lot easier to know and change versus going through your offer, audience, and text. So try that first, and let's go into the second part. Now that we talked about the graphic, the second piece is offer. This is huge, but it's also a huge undertaking to change as well. So here's what I mean. When it comes to your ads, there's really some main points that I find. Your graphics are always going to be the best one to start with, and then going into actual copy, then going into the targeting. And if those you have tried 3 or 4 different times and still hasn't been able to get the results you're wanting, and if you're not really sure what your actual goal is with ads or what you should be spending, go to the description below where I actually did a whole video on that. But I want to say that offer is going to be one of the biggest reasons of why people actually put in their email or not. Because it's one thing to get a good graphic and to get them onto your page, but if they go onto your page and they don't see why they need to sign up or if it's actually helpful for them, they're not going to. They're going to click off and go somewhere else. So when it comes to actually knowing if it's your offer, the best way to know, again, is if you've tried your graphic 3 or 4 different ways in different times. If you tried your copy in 3 or 4 different variations and you tried targeting 3 or 4 different people inside of your ideal audience niche or whatever that might be for you, then it's time to look at your offer. This is where you don't have to change everything about it. You might just need to change the languaging about it. You might need to add in something that helps out with why they need it now and how it's helpful for them at this moment, and testimonials, all that kind of good stuff. So if you want this, I might do a video later on. If you put it in the comments below and you say you want to learn more about what really helps when it comes to landing pages and sales pages to really get them to convert for you, put that as a yes below, like, yes, I want to learn more, so I can make sure it's something you guys actually want. But I would say first, again, always start with graphic. Offer is going to be the meatier of the problems to start with, but it's such a huge piece to look at, because if you don't, you're going to keep spending money on graphics of copy versions, of target versions, when really it could be the offer itself, which I know is a hard pain to swallow, but it is something that we do need to look at. So now that we talked about the graphic, about the offer, let's go into audience. And by audience, I always mean who you're trying to target with your ads. This is something where you really need to know more about your ideal audience in a general sense. The specific parts that you need to know go into your copy and into your text, which we'll go into in a second. But it's really important for you to realize that when it comes to audiences, are you making sure that you have at least 3 or 4 categories of people that you're trying to target, or different softwares, different people that you're trying to target who might be right for you. And here's an example to help out. So when it comes to, let's say I'm working with a coach and they're wanting to get their ads up. Usually it depends on who their audience is. But let's say they're new entrepreneurs. That's usually a big one that I see. So the first would be, okay, let's go into very common software that they use. Canva, Squarespace, Wix, you name it. Testing out that area and making it more detailed, so there's multiple layers of that targeting inside of that, because not everyone who's going to be in Canva is going to be your right audience. You have to make sure that you have the female, the age, the demographics, different variations of interest inside of that really align with them. So that's one thing. Second thing is audience size. This is something that not a lot of people talk about enough, is when you are first targeting, if you are an online-based business targeting online people, which means like most likely globally or at least nationally, then it's really helpful to have your audience be around minimum 500,000 or so to 2 million. I know it sounds like a lot, but unless you're spending like $100, $500, $1,000 a day, you're not going to get up to that amount. What it allows you to do is be able to really target those inside of that audience who might not have been able to see you prior to this, because let's be real, organic reach is kind of like down. But I want to say that it's important for you to know that, because for nationally, if you have it to be too low, your ad costs are going to skyrocket, and frequency, which is a whole separate thing, is if it gets over 2 times people see your ad, it means your ad's either not really converting with them, or they've already converted and it's not set up right. That's a technical issue that I might do a video on later, but when it comes to those, if you're someone who's doing nationally or online-based things, have your audience start between 500 to 2 million if you're getting new people in the door. If you're locally, then literally as many people as you can get inside of your radius. There's not really a good number for that, because you can kind of like test it a lot easier. Honestly, locally, people who are doing ads, you have a lot better of a leg up, because you have a defined audience who are inside of your 25 or 5 or 10 mile radius. For globally people, or for national or online people, it's a lot more important to have a bigger base. That way you can be more specific and target as you go through it. If you make it too specific starting out, you're not really going to know who's actually converting, and inside of that audience, who is actually your people. So it's really important for you to know that for audience size too. So now that we've gone into graphics, offer, audience, let's go into text. The reason why I called it text is because it's not just the copy alone on the actual ad graphic and above it or below it, depending on how you're looking at it. It's also going to be the landing page, the thank you page, and the emails. This is important because ads can always bring more traffic to you, but your landing pages and your emails are what actually get them to convert for you. Because at the end of the day, which I talked about in a previous video, is that if you're trying to bring more people into the door and go straight to a sale, it's going to take a lot more money and a lot more time versus nurturing them inside of your email list or inside of wherever you want to, podcast, you name it. That will make the conversion so much easier, not have buyer's remorse, and be cheaper for you. So it's win-win all around. But I want to go start with each. So when it comes to ad text, it's really about first your copy. In your first 3 lines, if you do not have some type of really resonating hook in there, it's going to be a lot harder for people to want to read further or even click through. So that's the first thing I always say, is make sure that you actually double check and see, is that first piece actually going to be resonating with them? Second thing is, without getting too technical around copy pieces, is if they click over to your landing page, do you have it laid out within the first 2 scrolls that they actually realize that it's right for them and that you are giving them something that they actually need, versus just kind of giving more vague answers or copy that's not really converting that well for you. And the reason why I say this, because a lot of people will actually click off on the landing page if they don't find that they resonate or see themselves inside of your landing page. And it's really important that you see that as well. The last thing is obviously email. So it's once they clicked on the ad, they signed up, and now they're in your email list, you'll be able to see if they're actually converting, because you can track your open rates, your click-through rates, and so forth. It's really important to do that, because later on you can do things like retargeting ads, these kind of fun things to do in there. But if you haven't really nailed those pieces inside of that, it's going to be a lot harder, and it's going to make your ad costs go up and your ad spend go up, which for a lot of you, you're kind of wanting to keep it tight, but also proven and effective. So when it comes to these areas, I'll go through one more time. Always start with your graphic first, because you can always make really easy variations and tweaks through that, and you can see a better return from that for your conversions, because again, it's the first thing that your people see. So once you go through the graphics, I want you to then go into actual audiences and have 3 or 4 targeting groups to actually go through, because maybe your graphic is actually working well, but it's not on the right person, which is why it's good to have those different options in there. The last 2, I would say, then go into text, then go into identifying, okay, what are the numbers when it comes to how many people are actually clicking on the graphic? Are they falling off on the landing page? Okay, they're not. They're actually doing pretty good. So then, is it the emails for me? Like, you have to ask yourself these questions first, because that's going to really depend on how they convert for you. And the last thing is, after all of these, if your numbers are still okay, if your graphics converting pretty all right, if your audience seems to be liking it, then it might just be your offer that might be off, which again, I know is really hard to hear, but it's one of those things where there's only so many variables you can test without realizing that it might be your offer. So it's kind of how I have my 4-step framework go through to make it a lot easier for you to identify kind of where to start and how to go about it. If you really identify which one those are and make the right tweaks, you will see such a huge increase. I can promise you that. Through all 4 points, you're probably wondering, okay, this is good to know, but how do I actually go about creating the ad? Well, you're in luck, because I've actually written a quick guide on the complete ad breakdown. I actually go through one of my clients' ads. I got over 559 plus leads and been able to get a 20% increase in sales just from small tweaks like this. So if you want to get that, it's going to be in the description below. And if you're wanting to have some more bingeable content with over 100 plus episodes of ad strategy, marketing, experts that you need in between, then go in the description below and go to the Clients and Conversions podcast. This podcast is one that I love dearly. It's where I share all of my fun secrets, even more so than on YouTube itself. So go down there, check that out, and if you have any questions, let me know. But I want to say, last thing is, if you love this, make sure to go like and comment below, share it with a friend if it's going to be helpful for them, and without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.